Today, I want to talk about a horror game. A game whose very name gives you that first hint of discomfort, and it only deepens as you play. Before we go any further, I need to address something important. Mouthwashing is an intensely psychological horror experience. It deals with isolation, desperation, mental deterioration. It contains disturbing imagery and themes that some players might find genuinely upsetting. I'll be careful not to spoil any major plot points, but if you're already intrigued enough to try it blind, the game's available on Steam for around $12, and the link is in the description. And while you're down there, consider giving us a like, hit the subscribe button, and stay tuned for more videos like this about short games that leave a lasting impression. Let's talk about what makes mouthwashing so extraordinary. The game puts you aboard the Tulpar, a freighter spacecraft owned by the Pony Express Corporation. In the game's opening moments, you make a decision to crash the ship into an asteroid, and you strand the 5-person crew in the emptiness of space with dwindling supplies and no hope of rescue. What follows is a non-linear narrative that shifts between the time before you crash and the months that follow, as you discover why someone would deliberately sabotage their own ship and how the stranded crew deals with their inevitable fate. Visually, Mouthwashing embraces this distinctive low-poly aesthetic that's reminiscent of early PlayStation games. There's something deeply unsettling about faces that aren't quite right, about environments that feel both familiar and wrong at the same time. The gameplay itself is relatively simple. You explore the Tulpar, you interact with objects, you solve occasional puzzles, and you engage in dialogue with the crew. It's essentially a walking simulator with horror elements, but that simplicity allows the story and atmosphere to take center stage. Where Mouthwashing truly excels is in its psychological elements. So as the food and the medical supplies run low, the crew discovers that their cargo consists entirely of, you guessed it, mouthwash. The hallucinations become more frequent. The violence becomes unpredictable. The boundaries between reality and delusion blur. What begins as a somewhat straightforward survival horror scenario evolves into something far more surreal and disturbing. Impossible spaces, dreamlike imagery, moments where the physical laws of the universe seem to bend under the weight of psychological trauma. But what makes all of this truly effective is how grounded the characters feel. Each crew member has distinct motivations, flaws, and breaking points that feel painfully authentic. You understand why they make the choices they do. And even as those choices become increasingly desperate and horrifying, you empathize with them. At just under 3 hours long, Mouthwashing respects your time while delivering an experience that will stay with you. This isn't just about jump scares or grotesque imagery. It's about the horror of isolation, the fear of abandonment, and the terrifying knowledge of our own mortality. The game was developed by Wrong Organ, an indie studio from Sweden. They started out with 5 people and grew to 7 by the end of development. They built the entire game in less than a year and a half, which is incredibly impressive and proves that focused creative vision and storytelling can deliver a profound impact without requiring massive resources. Mouthwashing was released for PC in September 2024 for about $12, with a console version for PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch coming later this year. Check it out and let me know what you think in the comments below. Links to Mouthwashing are in the description, and if you're curious about Human Computer and what we're building, our Substack link is in there too. Subscribers are the first to see what we're working on, and they'll be the first to playtest our debut game. Until next time, I'm Elliot from Human Computer. Thanks for watching.